What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is JD from Leterrip Adventures. We are doing another install video. Pretty straightforward, about one of the easiest installs you can do. Now we are going to be doing this on the Polaris Sportsman 850 Highlifter edition. Now anybody knows when you start stuffing these things in the mud, you definitely need to set yourself up a winch.
Let's go!
Now the last video you guys seen, we did the XP Turbo reveal, kind of what we've all done to this machine. So now it's time to kind of turn our attention to some of the quads. So we've got the winch installed on this. We feel that the Scrambler is pretty much done. So let's check this winch out. Everybody realizes in the side-by-side game or the ATV game, there's about 4,000 different options you can choose from, whether or not it's a Warn winch, whether or not it is a Badlands winch, which none of those are bad product. They're all great product, but I am a firm believer of going, as you can see here, with the Polaris brand winch, due to the fact the ease of access and the durability and how long these things last. I guess in the performance aspect of things, they are pricey, but I have never had a Polaris winch fail. So let's check what's in the box. Now, I did open this, I do know what's in there, but literally this came out right here, and this is all that is inside of the box for this Polaris winch. You can see it's got your thumb switch for the handlebar, it's got some zip ties and some bolts, and that is it. That's everything. Because this does not have the wireless remote or anything in that regards, so it is about as easy and straightforward of an install as you can get. Now that's the thing, when you get a Badlands or a third-party winch or something for these machines, you do have some extra routing for wirings, you do have to sometimes create your own connections, and when you're a guy that's always on the go, drives truck for a living, I want it to be about as fast, easy, and simple as it possibly can be. So for example, if you look right here, they already provide you with the dead end connector for your thumb switch. And in regards to this winch install, which I could not find anything for, once again, this is a 2024 Polaris Highlifter, the Highlifter edition. They didn't have anything on the internet, but it is super freaking simple. So if you guys have ever debated it, I figured I would quick show it to you so you understand if you want to do it yourself. It's about as easy as it gets. Anytime you're doing any wiring on a machine, it is a good practice to get yourself in a habit unhooking a battery. I have actually blown inline fuses on some of my razors because I figured, I can do it without unhooking the battery. Don't do it, unhook the battery. So for the Highlifter, you've got your quick release here, you've got your quick release here, and then this whole hood piece will indeed come off. We're gonna set this over here, and then from there, you have to remove these 415s, because we do need to actually get this piece off as well, because the winch mounts right underneath there. And if you can see right in there, there's your battery. So we'll get some tools out, we'll get these off, get to that battery and get it disconnected. Tools are out, and I want to correct, they are actually 12 mil. So to start, and there it is, to get a couple of these pieces off of here, you do have to work at it a little bit, but it's nothing that's too difficult. So we're gonna, I do have some of these loosened up already. So we've got this one comes off, 12 mil. Come on, 12 mil, get that out of the way, and then we've got this one, and then this whole facer piece comes off. Now I'm doing this one hand, so you have to be patient, but then this whole fascia piece should just come off of here like so. We'll set that off to the side. Okay, next, to get to the battery, you do have to remove the headlight fascia assembly here, or the front bumper, which isn't too difficult. I'll show you that. You've got one 10 mil here. You've got a 10 mil here, 10 mil there, here. And then what I found out too is we'll get those off and I'll show you. Okay, that one's loose. That one's loose. Don't lose that. This one's loose. This one's loose. Now I did find that there is a couple 10 mils here. Now this is your main fuse box. If you lift up this panel, all your main wires comes into your fuse box. So I'm actually going to loosen this from the shroud assembly here. And it's this one right here. These are all 10 mil minus the 12 mil in the front. That eliminates this, so I can actually lift this up, because you need to lift it up high enough to be able to pull your fascia piece off the front of the machine. Now, to get your fascia piece off, we have to remove this 12 mil right here, and this 12 mil right here. We've got a push pin right here that I already pre-removed. pre-remove this one, and then I will come over across to the other side. And you do have to unhook your headlights. Let me turn the light on. As you can see, you do have to unhook your headlight right there. So there's one on this side. It's just these clips. You pull up on these side clips right here, and it pops right out. So we will finish removing the hardware. So once again, you got your two 12 mils here, pull this fascia plate out, remove this 12 mil, come up to the top, remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, unhook the two push pins, remove your headlight or unplug your headlights, pull that fascia piece off. That gives you access to your battery. Yep, so one thing I did notice, you may want to check when you buy one of these. Check this out. Yeah, battery's just flopping around in there, so that's really neat. So I'm gonna try to either find a piece of rubber to put behind this, but as you can see, access right there. A couple 10 mils, pull the battery loose. And then the mounting points for the winch are, well, let me turn the light on. You've got one right there. There's one right here, one on the other side, and then same thing, one up top, which they do provide you with all the hardware right here. We'll dump it out. As you can see, right there's all your hardware, pre-installed Loctite. Those look like 12 mil as well. And then you hook up a couple battery cables, run some zip ties, and it's as simple as that. And then we'll get this battery disconnected, and then throw the winch up in here and go from there. And that's why we took this fascia plate off. It just gives you access to everything. Make sure that's out of the way. Already disconnected the red lead as far as that's concerned. Make sure when you're doing that you don't touch anything on the frame or nothing like that. Now I have come to find out that quite a few things have already been really loose or not even tight. So that is one of the things I'm going to do with this machine before it sees a puddle. We are going through the entire snorkel system on this machine, going to either silicone or double check it, or get a smoke tester and smoke test this machine to make sure we don't have any leaks. Because kind of the backstory of this machine, it actually overheated, went into limp mode, left my wife sitting on the side of the road 3 miles on this machine. The battery's loose, the battery terminal connectors were loose, so I cannot guarantee that if I stick this thing in a mud hole that we're gonna not end up with water in places we don't want. So I'm gonna take the necessary steps to not only dielectric grease all of the connections, check my snorkel kits, smoke test it, make sure it's solid before this thing sees a mud hole. This is attached to the mounting plate of the winch assembly, which is what you plug in to do your switch. Now, it took me 20 minutes to find it. Here it is. Okay, so I'm gonna try to point the best I can up. It is way up there. It is like tucked up way up in there underneath the radiator, zip tied together. Once you pop the zip tie, it expands out and ends up being this long when all said and done. So take that into consideration if you need to find that wire on a Sportsman 2024 Sportsman 850 Highlifter edition. It is up underneath the radiator, zip tied to the wire bundle, because the instructions they give you are for a regular Sportsman. It shows that it's right along the rail of this machine. That is not the case. So once again, tucked up underneath the radiator in a big ball with a zip tie. Once you clip that zip tie, it is at that point long enough to be able to run your wire down to your winch once your winch is installed. That took me 20 minutes of Where's Waldo. The other way, you want to be able to read your Polaris logo when you install this, and be careful that you don't crush any wires. That makes for a bad day when you get it all in there and it don't work like it's supposed to. It is obviously easier if you have help doing this, because it's just nice having two hands up in here. One to kind of hold the wires and get it where it needs to be, and the other person to orientate the winch. But I don't have that as an option, so I'm just gonna do it myself. And I'll show you once I get this up in there where I routed the wires, and we'll kind of go from there. Biggest thing now is just get it. Okay, so this is the routing. I'm going to show you guys here to hopefully save yourself some headaches and stuff in the future or when you try to do this yourself. So I will try to see this bracket right here. If you try to route not only the positive and the negative out the back of that bracket, it starts smashing it underneath this bracket right here. And that's a pretty sharp edge. So I found out best routing is you go out the back, because right here's my negative. You go out the back underneath that bracket with your negative, plenty of room to reach up here. And the positive is long enough that you can run over the top of the winch, come in right here, and then draw it up over. And you have plenty to get to your positive right there. Obviously, I'll orientate that and tie it all up, but then nothing is getting crushed behind that bracket back there. Negative is coming out the back once again. As you can see, negative's coming out the back behind that bracket. This is coming out over the top of the winch, around and up to the top. And then your switch for the handlebar is back behind everything back here. I know you can't really see, but you see the white right there, that is for the switch. So we're to the point we are going to hook everything up. And I'm trying to be a little more informative when I do these install videos, because if you guys run into these problems, and that's why you watch these videos, to be able to solve the solution or guarantee that you're going to do it right. So I'll save you the hassle and try it, figure it out, and give you guys the best option to do this stuff. So I'm going to button everything up, get everything hooked back up, and then we will get to the point of reassembly. Alright guys, whole front of the machine is put back together, which is absolutely awesome. You will lose the little trim piece here, obviously because you got the winch. Did show you the kind of the routing, but everything went back together pretty decent. Now that being said, double check Polaris's work. I did. It's one of those things, highly recommend. I found loose battery terminals. I found a headlight that was loose. Found some wiring that needed to be addressed and buttoned up. Battery was flopping around in there, so you can't always assume that if you get a machine from a dealer, regardless whether it's Can-Am, CF Moto, Honda, whatever, these things get thrown together at a pretty rapid rate and things aren't 100%. But last thing we've got, now that we have that addressed, is I have to remove, or I'm going to loosen the brakes just a little, move it over, because then this will go right there. As you can see, you route your wires down the bottom of the switch with the groove provided. I'll have to cut this zip tie, that zip tie, uncap this, replace the two zip ties, and it is simple as that to install the switch. So let me throw this on there, and I'll pick you up in a sec. Okay, as you can see guys, it's on. So I did move this over just a little bit, keep the wires happy coming out of the switch. Connected it to the connector, a couple new zip ties, and she is 100. Now technically, if I fire that up, ho ho ho! Yep, she works. She works like it's supposed to. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Heck yeah. So it is on there. It is done. It is 100%. So as far as install is concerned, it's not horrible. You do have a couple pieces of hardware and stuff that you do have to remove. You do have to remove some pieces of plastic and some other stuff. But as a whole, it is one of the easier installs because you don't have the magnetic stop or the wireless controller. Once you get the plastics and the stuff out of the way, which is pretty straightforward, you've got 4 12s, you've got 6 10s, and then all that stuff just comes out of the way after you unplug your headlights. The whole fascia, the whole bumper is done. gone, out of the way. 4 bolts, route your wires. Remember what I said at the beginning or halfway through the video where that wire is tucked up underneath the radiator. It was a bear, no joke, took me 20 minutes to find. Installed the switch. All the pre-connectors were already there, uncapped them, plugged it in, 4 bolts, threw everything back together, and we have officially installed a winch on a 2024 Sportsman 850 Highlifter. That's officially going to do it for this one. Short, sweet, pretty easy. Hopefully if somebody's doing this themselves, it helps them out. But like always, you guys, don't forget to support the supporters that support us. We've got GLife UTV, we've got RPM, we've got Bikeman Performance, and we've got LOYO Lights. If you use discount code leterrip, saves you guys 5%. That way we can continue to install this product onto our machines and give you our honest review of what we think to hopefully make your off-road experiences as enjoyable as possible. So like always, if you want, hit that thumbs up, hit that notification bell if you want to see content when we post, and like always, on to the next adventure.